There has been another world index that has been released and obviously skewed against India. This time it is the global hunger index, and India has been put much below Bangladesh, it has been much below Nepal, it has been put much below Sri Lanka, and definitely put much below Pakistan. So the question I ask over here with my panelists and my audiences is that why is this biasness and prejudice against India? Where is it that these researches, these statistics, these numbers are being found? What is the exact criteria of finding out at which level a particular country is when it comes to the hunger index that has been put out? And I'm surprised to know that there are queues in Pakistan and in Sri Lanka which are debt-ridden. There is no food, there is no water, there is stagnation, there is inflation. I think the recent report came out that, even a roti, the price of roti had spiraled 300% times. And that's indicative of the hunger indices and the current situation, the current real actual situation that Pakistan, Sri Lanka and several of these countries are facing. And the question that India is a mass exporter of cash crops, including wheat, including rice. So when there is an embargo that is put by Russia on Black Sea, and the questions that are being raised about why India is not able to export wheat and export rice to the Western nations, to Europe, to America, and they end up starving, their food prices rise up, and they blame India for being in cahoots with Russia in allowing for this Ukraine devastation to go on, as is the moral high ground that has been picked by West, simply because their food prices, their grain prices then escalate because India does not, they are not able to buy wheat and they are not able to buy rice at a nominal rate from India. So where is the hunger crisis happening? The hunger crisis, the hunger indices should be putting these Western nations, Europe, for not having enough food, for not having enough rice and not having enough wheat. And it's not as if India is asking for rice and wheat to be imported from all these countries. We are the ones who are giving you these grains. We are the ones because of whom your food prices do not spiral upwards. So the question again I am asking from my panelists here, one by one. Let me quickly get in. Sharat Kohli, I don't know how many times I've done this debate now, whether it is global hunger index, we talk about press index, we talk about corruption perception index, there is a pension index as well. Why? And India is the 5th largest economy, we are the net exporters of grains like I already mentioned. Where and under what criteria are these global firms and organizations then doing these surveys and doing these researches to come up with these absurd figures?
Well, Megha, thank you so much. I completely disregard this particular survey. This is not a government organization, first of all. It's some private rotten agency. I'm sorry to use this word. It's a rotten agency which nobody is bothered about, first of all. And this is done with a nefarious, insidious intentions. The simple intention is to make sure to bring down the reputation of the country. There is a heartburn. There is a section of foreign agencies and NGOs who cannot see country growing, and they are being funded by people like George Soros, and there are many others, who are probably running an agenda against the country. There are multiple individuals and organizations who cannot see India grow, who cannot see some of the richest people in the world originating from India, who cannot see India's progress, who cannot see that India today is the 5th largest economy in the world, who cannot see that India is going to become the 3rd largest economy in the world. These are the people, in the right term, they get a hard burn. In Hindi there is a saying कि इनके सीने पर सांप लौटता है. So the moment the country gives up, today it is the fastest growing economy. I was doing a show on another platform, Megha, a couple of days ago, and I was seeing the GDP forecast of the whole list of G20 nations. Can you believe India, after India is China 4.2, India's forecast of IMF is 6.3. Next is China, and the rest of them is all 1.5, 1.3, 0.7, 0.5, 0.3. No country matches our progress. This is one. And this particular survey has commented on the fact that the methods used in India are not correct. I question them. In fact, the methods used by them are not correct because they have no clue of what's happening in the country except for the fact that the intention is malafide. That is one right word for them. Second thing they say, if you read the survey carefully, it says that after 2015, not much progress has been made in terms of nutrition. Now, does this date remind you of something? That this is an anti-government propaganda, anti-current establishment propaganda, because the current government came out in 2014. Yeah. So they say after 2015, the country hasn't made much progress. This is very, very explicit. It is very clearly speaking of the fact that this is an agenda against Modi government. I'm sorry to say, not just against the country, but also against Modi government. They want to criticize, they want to defame. But I can tell you with conviction, Megha, none of their intentions are going to succeed because we care a damn about these surveys. I was reading about Pradhan Mantri Poshan Yojana. I wonder not many people know that there is a whole mission going on in India which is on nutrition. It's called Pradhan Mantri Poshan Abhiyan. I was connected with that Abhiyan in some way or the other. I was involved in the research and all that. It focuses on anemia. It focuses on children from 0 to 6 years. It is a mission being run by Ministry of Women and Child Development. It is focusing on every aspect, whether it is midday meal, whether it is discussion in the panchayat. I think these agencies better leave the nutrition of children to their parents and to the country and to the government instead of meddling in our affairs. They better look after what is happening in UK, Ireland, and see that the inflation is beyond control. People are crying. They don't have money to pay their rent. Poverty is gradually gripping UK. UK's reputation is sinking across because they cannot see their own country going down. I'm sorry to say this. They start maligning. When they show countries' growth, Megha, they show it by way of a snake charmer sitting there and a snake climbing up. That's how they show India's progress graph. I think they continue to leave. They believe their colonial mindset. They have to come out of that colonial mindset, and we completely condemn and disregard this particular survey by every single aspect.
Absolutely.
None of the aspect
Absolutely.
Survey has got any base whatsoever, Megha.
Yeah, but also, these surveys keep coming every year. Every year, India disparages it, India, negates it, says that there are wrong ways, wrong methods, non-criteria that have been utilized to do these surveys. In fact, one of these reports that had come out last year was that this organization, whoever conducts this global hunger index and press index and so forth, what they do is they don't even come to India. They don't even visit the places. They make the phone calls. They make these phone calls to, I don't know, these select organizations. I don't know who they reach out to. It's all done remotely.
Just one sentence.
Yeah.
In a country which has got Garib Kalyan Yojana and giving 5 kilos of anaj to 80 crore people for so many months, how can a nutrition problem be there? I fail to understand. They've got no clue. Not just that they don't come to India, they've got no information, no statistics, no correlation to the facts whatsoever, Megha.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to once again, put out these figures and make a comparison of which are the countries that have been put ahead of India in the global hunger index. Let's quickly take a look at my touchpad and mirror it on the television screen. And this is the global hunger index. Now, if we can make this full frame instead of cutting me. Yeah. Okay. So this is the global. This is the corruption perceptions index. Now, if you take a look at the corruption perceptions index, India's score is at 40 out of 100, rank is at 85 out of 180 countries. So, 180 countries have been ranked over here. And if you take a look at the number of countries who have been compared to India, India stands at 40. There is Guyana, Kosovo, Vietnam, Trinidad and Tobago, Solomon Islands, Kuwait, Hungary, and obviously Burkina. Even Burkina Faso is above India when it comes to the corruption perceptions index. Quickly taking a look at, this is the World Press Freedom Index. Now, this is highly notorious in terms of why India is put at the position that it does. India stands at 161 in the World Press Index. So, India is at 161, there is Laos, Venezuela, Afghanistan even, Azerbaijan, Pakistan, Libya, they are all above India in this Press Freedom Index. The countries below India are Djibouti, Bangladesh, Russia, Turkey, Egypt and Iraq. And now obviously, if we take a look at the Global Hunger Index, which is the latest of this sham that has been put out as a quote-unquote authentic, credible research. And here you have it, quickly putting in that figure again. Here you have it, Sri Lanka, Mauritius, Ghana, Tajikistan, Iraq, Syrian Arab Republic, Ethiopia, Pakistan, Sudan, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Zambia are all above India. I think the nation that is one below India is Timor-Leste. So now that we've taken a look at these figures and let's quickly do a comparison of how this plays out and why it plays out. And there was a very important point that was made. Very important point that was made by Mr. Kohli, that this is incidentally happened in 2014 after 20, and this is a mention that has been made that actions with regards to improving nutrition amongst children has been subliminal after 2014, after the Prime Minister Narendra Modi government came into being. So let's quickly get in Professor D.K. Giri also on the telecast with me. Professor, should India pay heed to all these indices? Do they matter any longer?
We may not pay heed to them depending on what the survey is. You gave several surveys, but our reaction should be matured, not emotional. I will desist from pomposity or snobbery.
There is nothing emotional about this, Mr. Giri. This is based on fact. There is nothing emotional. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, Dr. Kohli, you had your say. I have just returned from UK after staying there for 1 month. I came only yesterday. What you described as UK is far from truth, one. And secondly, we should not suffer from a siege mentality as well. If Narendra Modi, our Prime Minister, is respected across the world, this is what we think. And somebody says, poverty index, and you are an economist, you say, Dr. Kohli, there is no relation between GDP and poverty. And secondly, you
my question is over here, sir. When we are doing a global hunger index, when we really go on to believe that in the global hunger index, India comes below Pakistan and Sri Lanka, we have been doling out funds after funds to fight, to help Sri Lanka fight its debt.
I'm not talking about the...
but I'm talking about that. That's my discussion point over here.
Interrupt, madam, I cannot have my say. Let me formulate my point. I mean, you are behaving like Republic TV. I expected NewsX.
I'm sorry, please don't compare my channel and myself to Republic TV. I'm just trying to mention over here the fact that there has been a global index, global hunger index that has been released. Now, we have been by what criteria have been put below Pakistan and Nepal and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. So my question is to these organizations who put up these hunger indices, that what is the basis of it?
Sure. I'm talking about the nature of our reaction. It can be bunkum, but we should also react in a matured, in a confident way. We do not have a siege mentality. Why should everybody be against India? People like India. People like culture and civilization. Jealous or conspiring against India. Why do you suffer from that? And secondly, to say that UK is a colonial power, we should not suffer from colonialism. And the example from UK, I'm telling you, I came after staying for a month there. And what Sarath Kohli is describing is not existing there at all. So these are all far-fetched views. We should not react emotionally, whether we have poverty in our country or not. That is what we should look at.
This is the truth.
You are saying that there is no
sorry,
poverty.
this is true.
That is not correct. Or you remember,
it is sinking into an economic crisis, UK. You have got whatsoever. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. Professor Giri, you've had your say. I also have with me Vinita Hariharan. Vinita, the situation particularly with regards to the very strong highlight that has been made in this research paper, in this report that has come out, saying that since 2014 there has been no tangible action that has been taken to improve nutrition to fight hunger in the country.
No, so absolutely. I mean, it's these kind of surveys have no basis, absolutely. And, the kind of methodology that has been adopted by this survey has been questioned even by the greatest of the researchers in the country and internationally, globally as well. There are already papers that have come out on the 2022 index as well, on the flaws that have been discovered in the methodology of the survey itself and the indices used, like the child stunting, child wasting, child mortality. 3 are on children only, so which doesn't really represent the entire population. We're not saying that we need to discount children, but then we cannot say that the hunger index in general of the country is based just on the children's wasting, stunting and mortality. And then of course there's an undernourishment factor as well, but the undernourishment also has two subtexts, as if you go by the sustainable development goals, and that in the sub indicators, one of the indicators has not even been taken into consideration by this survey. And the survey has been done by an NGO, Irish NGO Concern Worldwide and German NGO Welt Hunger Life. I mean, what is the locus standi of these NGOs? How can we even go public with these surveys? I really don't understand why we are even discussing this and diluting the reputation of the country. I mean, look at the kind of work that has been done over the last 10 years. The Modi government, the multidimensional poverty index. Why don't we see that 135 million people have been lifted out of poverty, and the multidimensional poverty has come down from 25 to 15% in the last 10 years. And there are so many such indices, and that experts have also said that this kind of global indices for different countries is not at all going to be having any weight anymore, because each country is asked to develop their own index for their own performance tracking, and that is what the Portion Tracker actually aims to do. The Portion Tracker is a reliable survey that is done on WHO metrics, and if you look at the Portion Tracker, the child wasting is set as 18% in this so-called global hunger index report, whereas the Portion Tracker says 7.2%. We believe the government of India, or we believe some arbit NGO from Germany and Ireland? Never. I will believe the government of India, because we are in the top 5 economies of the world. IMF and World Bank have ranked us as the top 5 economies. We've lifted so many millions out of poverty.
Okay, all right, fair enough. You made your point. Dr. Ravi Godse, now what I would understand and have a perception in terms of these surveys that have been released is the world, or at least certain sections of the world, still see India from the 1960s when there was rampant hunger in our country. The then Prime Minister had to import wheat and rice from America, and somehow that image seems to have gotten stuck, besides the fact that there are vested factors as well to come out with these reports.
I'll first say that a politician uses statistics as a drunk uses a lamppost, more for support than for illumination. So, these numbers can be massaged to show anything. And I would point out the Western media bias against India before striking a cautionary note. Because I was watching during the COVID pandemic, suppose India gives 13 crore vaccines. So they will not report it as India has vaccinated 65 times the population of New Zealand. No. They will take that and divide it by India's population and say only 10% of Indians are vaccinated. So they will put the population in denominator when the number is high. And if the number is low, suppose there are 10,000 deaths in 10 million people, they would not say India's death rate is 0.001. They will say 10,000 people died in India. So it's always a bias. But let me strike a cautionary note. Suppose there is a 28-year-old mother and who's telling her 5-year-old child that, beta, there is nothing to eat tonight. Does that child care whether the India is ranked below Nepal or above Nepal? So the report is clearly wrong. The report is clearly biased. But suppose somebody calls me and tells me your son is not doing well in maths. I will yell at them because my son is best. But I'll take a quick look at my son's own math progress just to make sure that everything is okay. So
no, but are you saying that we need to take a look at this report and then reflect as well?
No. I'm not. This report is bogus. But what I'm saying is this report is an opportunity.
Of course, I'm not saying that the majority of the people in our country are above the poverty line as yet. I'm not saying that there are issues and epidemics that continue to hit India. I'm not saying that there has been complete eradication of a number of diseases. I'm not saying that places in our country, remote areas, villages, there is still hunger problems that persist.
No, and you know what my point is, that our reaction should not be knee-jerk. We should not always be defensive. We should say, okay, this report, first of all, we should not glorify these reports by discussing them. That's first thing. And second thing is, we should always take this as an opportunity. And there's another important point, and as India is rising, we have to be very careful now. We are saying that, I think what rankles the most, that is we are below Pakistan and Bangladesh and Nepal in that report. But we also have, as we are growing higher and becoming higher and higher on world stage, we have to be very careful how we talk about these countries. Just in the lead up to the First World War, Kaiser William II always used to be offended every time anybody did anything to Germany. And used to say, why are you treating Germany like that? Do you think I'm from Portugal? So at that time, he was not speaking very nicely about Portugal. So we are not implying that Nepal should be below us or Bangladesh. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, right? What our Prime Minister said. We want there no hunger in the world. But this may not, I'm not saying use this report as an opportunity.
All right, fair enough. But I'm saying statistics are statistics, facts are facts, reality is reality. It would be favorable for all these organizations and researchers and their teams to come to India and actually do the survey, actually go down and on the grassroots and find out and then have a credible figures to put out. And we would be more than happy to welcome them and show them around and meet with the right people, take them down to the kind of policies, schemes, subsidies that are being provided to then help them in coming up with a correct survey, with a credible survey, which is not going to be biased against India simply because they want to score a brownie point, simply because perhaps they are being funded by some organization or some institution which has vested interest in portraying India in a specific way.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.